Hey guys, welcome back to the Volunteer Broadcast. I'm your host, Ava Boggs, and today I'm here with Jaron Armstrong. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for being here. We appreciate it. So first off, welcome back to Volunteer. It's great to have you here. How does it feel to be back here?
I love being back. I love seeing everybody, seeing what's happened to the school since I've been gone. It's great to be here.
Great. Well, again, we are super glad to have you here. So let's just start out. What was your experience like being here at Volunteer?
It was interesting. I spent a lot of time focusing on music, and there weren't too many opportunities to take that further, and so I didn't have a lot of people that were interested in playing music with me.
Yeah.
So that was difficult, but I mean it's my home. I felt comfortable being here and everything, and then I'm just glad that I had people like Hensley and Winger and stuff to help my experience in this school and make me feel like I had a place.
Absolutely. I understand that. So you graduated right in the as COVID began to start up. So what was it like having to graduate in the middle of that mess and transition from being a senior in high school to now being an adult in the real world?
Well, we didn't really, I guess, get a proper graduation,
Yeah.
per se. So it was upsetting, but it made me realize that going into college was going to be unprecedented, and I didn't really know what to expect.
Yeah.
And so it was odd and jarring to not have a real textbook ending to my high school career.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So it was uncomfortable, but I think just like everybody else, we dealt with it and got on with it.
Yeah, the whole year was just a huge mess for everyone. I can't imagine having to go from such a drastic change in such a short period of time and no one around you really knows what to do or how to help you properly. So do you think your experience here at Volunteer shaped your career path in any way? Like you said, you pursued music while your time here. So do you think those teachers that helped you along the way sort of shaped the pathway for your future?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it starts with Hensley when I was very young. Playing rock music and metal and blues and stuff, playing guitar. So that's really where it started, is wanting to kind of be a rock star when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And then when I was doing choir and stuff, I really got interested in choral music and classical music.
Yeah.
And I realized that by the time I ended my time here, I really wanted to be a composer.
Yeah.
And sort of dive into that. And if it weren't for the fact that we had people here that were at least somewhat interested in it and could show me that there is a possibility that I could pursue something like this, I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing. So I think it has shaped my path a lot.
That's great. So you've always held an interest in music, like you said, from when you were a small child. Like, where did it first originate, do you think?
I can't pinpoint exactly. I know I took piano lessons when I was like 5, I think, and it didn't last very long. I didn't want to do it. I don't think. But I started singing when I was about 10, and I did that for a little bit. But it was really when I started playing guitar, and when I was about 12, and Hensley taught me how to play guitar. That's when I really got into it and started taking it more seriously over the next few years.
Oh, nice. So, again, you think Hensley has been a huge help in where you're at today, so you don't think you'd be where you're at doing what you're doing without the help of Hensley?
Absolutely. Hensley's one. And then, like I said, Josh Winger, who was the choral director here, he was another one that really pushed me. And again, I see it in three different sections where I have like the rock and blues, that Hensley was helping me with, and then the more classical side, which Josh Winger got me into, and then going to college, and now the Chinese music side, which is a whole new branch of it, and that was Dr. Mahan from MTSU has helped me. So those
Awesome.
three, have been huge.
Amazing. So what drove you to take the next big step forward and seeing this not as a hobby, but as something you could potentially make a career out of for yourself? What sort of was that almost breaking point that said, this is something I want to do for the rest of my life?
I say it's probably when I eventually got to college. I don't really know what I wanted to do. When I left here, I knew that I wanted to be involved in music somehow, but again, we don't have the experience around here to know what those avenues could be.
Yeah.
And so I think it's very easy to think being a musician or being involved in music could either be being a rock star or being a teacher or working at a music store, but there's a lot of in-between jobs, and
Yeah.
I wasn't made aware of that until I got to school and started meeting people who were following through with their dreams and actually doing something.
Yeah.
But it honestly wasn't until until right before I graduated that I even thought I'd be able to get a real career in music. I spent most of college knowing that this is the only thing I wanted to do,
Yeah.
that there was nothing else for me, but that it might not be viable and that I might just be working in a kitchen for the next couple of decades. But I ended up getting a job at a studio in Nashville, and that's what sort of changed my mind, that there are avenues you could take. And then I got this gig and all that stuff, and that's the breaking point. Is right before I graduated college, I realized that I could do something.
Yeah, and music is definitely, especially for careers, it's not a one-size-fits-all. Most people think, you have to be like a pop star, like you have to have concerts and stuff like that, but no, there's definitely lots of careers in the in-between spaces. You just kind of have to find the right fit for you. Mm-hmm. And it's great that you found that for yourself. It's awesome. So how did your experience at MTSU shape your career? So in addition to, Hensley and Winger here at Volunteer, who do you think really helped you over there? I know you said one of your professors was a massive help there. So
yeah.
What about that?
She was a huge help, and I didn't start taking her until almost halfway through, I think, my career there. But one professor that I had that really made me realize how seriously I had to take doing this music thing if I really wanted to do something with it was my theory professor, Dr. Linton, who he was a very hardball teacher. The first two classes with him were basically weed out classes, and either you could hang or you couldn't.
Yeah.
And I ended up failing one of them and having to retake it, and it was really tough, but it showed me the level of dedication that people are putting into it, and that if you're interested in it and really want to do something with it, it can't be a hobby, that you have to be all in and sort of be completely committed to it. And I think that's what it's made me practice better, being there. Being surrounded by people who are usually at a much higher level than I am and have been doing it since they were very young children.
Yeah, for sure.
So it drives some sort of competitive nature, and it gives you an opportunity to play with people, and sort of just, it took sort of the rough edges of what a musician could be for me and refined it into a set practice and how to carry myself as a musician. And so, yeah.
Well, yeah, and especially something like music, again, most people think it can't be anything more than a hobby, but it is really something you have to strive to do and something you have to really have to put forth the work and effort into, or else it kind of just falls out. Mm-hmm. But, so now you are part of the orchestra for the live-action Avatar: The Last Airbender. Plays different scenes from, most beloved scenes from the show, and the orchestra plays with it. So, what's that like? Like, do you enjoy being a part of that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really excited. We haven't started rehearsals yet. I think we go next week. So I'm really excited to get with the rest of the musicians and see what it's like to. It'll really be my first time in it's not really a full orchestra, but one of my first times in an American orchestral setting as other than a choir singer, as an instrumentalist.
Yeah.
And I did a little bit of playing with an orchestra in China, and it's a little different, but I'm very excited to be involved with this because the music is so interesting and innovative, and bringing in all the Chinese instruments and mixing them with Western instruments is something that I love. So
I agree entirely, and really just the soundtrack from the show is very complex, you know what I mean? It's very intricate, and every piece of music in the show is almost made for each individual scene, which is something that's really amazing. So was this opportunity something that you shot out for, or did it just kind of show up and you said, I'll take it?
It was Dr. Mahan at MTSU. She reached out to me, and she basically asked me, I was working in the studio. I just graduated, and I was working in the studio in Nashville, and she asked me, do you want to be in a studio, or do you want to be a performer? And she goes, because I have this opportunity for you if you'd like to do it. And she told me that they needed a keyboard player and a pipa player, and I told her I didn't play the pipa, and she told him that I would learn it. So
just kind of got forced to it.
So it was handed to me. I don't know if I ever had in my mind that I wouldn't do it. I think I knew I was going to do it if I was able to do it.
Yeah, for sure.
Of course, I was worried about it, but it was really just kind of handed to me. And of course I had to work hard to build that level of rapport with Dr. Mahan for her to even put my name out there. But
yeah, absolutely.
it was just handed to me because of her and because of her work and because she has a lot of she has a lot of pull. She's very popular. She's very important.
Yeah.
And so for her to just be able to put my name out there and them hire me like that was just wonderful. And it's all because of her. Yeah, absolutely.
That's amazing. I'm glad you were able to get that kind of opportunity. You know, things like that only come around once in a lifetime, I would argue. So do you think there would be any additional stress performing for such a beloved and well-known show loved by millions of people worldwide?
Yes, it's a new level of stress.
Yeah.
Usually, because I just graduated, so a lot of my performances, the worst thing that can happen is you make a mistake and your grade is deducted, or your professor fusses at you, or probably worst of all, your peers are disappointed in you or see that you've messed up.
Yeah.
But here you have people who are really invested in this show, who still watch this show and are really connected to it and are coming out to see these scenes brought to life with the music.
Yeah.
So making any sort of mistake or a misstep is going to carry a lot more weight, especially knowing that the composer is involved and that there are other people. It's a job, and I think anybody who has a job knows that if you mess up at a job, it's not only affecting you, it's affecting everybody else who works with you.
Yeah.
And so thinking of it like that and less of like, I'm just jamming with a band, we're just having fun. It is great fun, but it's the biggest musical responsibility that I've had to date. So it's a lot more stressful, absolutely.
I can only imagine. So I mean, Avatar: Last Airbender is, again, like I said, like it's one of the most well-known shows, I would argue, ever produced. So I only wish the best of luck to you. After this commercial, he's going to play a piece for us, and then we'll be out of here. It was great interviewing you.
Thank you, and you too.
He'll be back in just a minute. Thank you.
I'm Parker, Cutie Cowboy Starnes, and everybody knows that I'm the most country boy this side of the Mississippi. But even me ain't as country as this place. Oh my goodness, Freddy's here. This place is so good even Freddy eats here. Sounds like the right place for me and all volunteer students. And now let's take a look at some of the most popular dishes from this great establishment. You have this hamburger with some potato wedges, these chicken tenders with some delicious fries and coleslaw, some soup beans, and some potatoes. Now that looks really good. Freddy, I'm gonna need that chicken tender.